Okay. In this video, I'm going to be reading the Hebrew and the Septuagint of Genesis 1, verses 3 to 5, to continue what I started a few days ago. So I'm picking up at verse 3 with the Hebrew. And I'll be doing some grammar along with commentary. Vayomer Elohim yehi or vayehi or. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. Vayomer is a cow imperfect third masculine singular from the root amar with a vav consecutive. And yehi is from haya. It's a cow imperfect third masculine singular jussive. And let there be light. It's a command, vayehi or, and there was light. Vayehi is again from haya, a cow imperfect third masculine singular with the vav consecutive, or vav conversive. And notice the king, God is the king, and he's just commanding that there be light. And so as I look at verse 3 in the Septuagint, Kaye pencha ta'as, genethe to phos, kaya geneta phos. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Kayepan, apen is an aorist indicative active third person singular from Lego. Genetheto is a aorist passive imperative third masculine singular from genomai. So let there be light, kaya geneta, and there was light. A geneta is the aorist indicative middle third person singular from genomai. And notice how God just speaks and everything comes into being. One of the wonderful New Testament applications of that is in John 1, where speaking of the Logos, Christ, the Word, we have a background to really the Hebrew and the Septuagint, where John writing says this, speaking of the Word, Panta dio tu agenita, all things came to be through him, kai korisa tu agenita udechen chageganan. And without him came not one thing which has become. In him was life, in autozoe ein, kai chezoe ein tafos ton anthropon. And the life was the light of men. And so the light shines in darkness, kai tafos in te skatia fine, kai che skatia alta u katelevin. And the darkness did not overcome it or take it down. Clear reference back to Genesis and back to the Hebrew and the Septuagint. And notice in verse 4 then, Vayad Elohim et ha'or ki tov. And God saw the light that it was good. Vayavdel Elohim bein ha'or uvein ha'choshek. And God caused a division between the light and between the darkness. Vayad Elohim, Vayad is a cow imperfect third masculine singular from a lamed hay verb, ra'ah, where the hay has elided or dropped out. So it's the imperfect third masculine singular with a vav consecutive. And God saw the light, that it was good. Vayavdel Elohim bein ha'or uvein ha'choshek. And God caused a division between the light and between the darkness. Vayavdel is from badal, to divide. And here we have a hifel imperfect third masculine singular from the root badal. Notice that yod prefix and the AI vowel pattern in the Pathak and the Hirik with the Vav consecutive. So God divided between the light and between the darkness. And as we look at the Septuagint, Kayeden hafta ta'as tafos, hati kalas, and God saw the light that it was good. Aden is the aorist indicative active third person singular from charao, that it was good. Kai diakorasin hata'as anamesan tu photas, kai anamesan tu skatas. And God divided between the light and between the darkness. Diakorasin is the aorist indicative active third person singular from diakorizo. So God divided between the light and between the darkness. Again, what a beautiful expression, translation, how different from the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian account, where Marduk has to struggle with Tiamat, the water deity, and light really comes later, and there's that struggle that goes on first. So then we go to verse 5, and the Hebrew reads, Vayikra Elohim la'or yom, v'lachoshek kara laila vayhi erev vayhi voker yom achad. And to the darkness, literally, he called day. It's as though God is the king on the throne. He says to the darkness, your name is going to be day. And the one who names everything is got to be the supreme one over it, the king. And so God called to the light day. Vayikra Elohim la'or yom, he called to the light, your name is going to be day. V'lachoshek kara laila, and to the darkness he called night, said your name will be night. Vayhi erev vayhi voker yom achad, and there was evening and there was morning, day one. Vayikra is from kara, cow imperfect, third masculine singular, with a vav consecutive, and God called literally to the light day, naming it. And then v'lachoshek kara laila, and to the darkness he called night. Kara is the cow perfect, third masculine singular from the root kara. Vayhi erev vayhi voker yom achad. And there was evening and there was morning, day one. Vayahi is a cow imperfect, third masculine singular from the root haya. Elamed hay root again, where the hay has elided, the final hay. And it's the cow imperfect with the vav consecutive from the root haya. And as we look at the Septuagint, kaya kalasin chata as tafos hemeron, and God called the light day. A kalosen is from kaleo. It's the aorist indicative active third person singular from kaleo. So God called the light day. Kaitas gatas akalesen nukta. And the night he called, or the darkness he called night. The kalase is the is the aorist indicative active third person singular from kaleo. Kai agenita, and there was espera, and there was evening, kayagenata proi, and there was morning, hemera mia, the first day. And notice agenata again is the cow indicative active, or cow indicative middle, I should say, third masculine singular from genomai. So there was evening and there was morning, the first day. So on day one, we see God creating everything, the universe, and creating light. God is the source of light. Yehi or, let there be light. and there was light. And as we saw, the New Testament applies this in that in the New Testament, light is found in Jesus Christ. He is the light of the world. In John 1, in him was life, and the life was the light of men. And so, and the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness could not overtake it. Here God called to the light day, and to the darkness he called night. And there's a separation. So in the New Testament, it's applied to Christ. That is, the light could not be overcome. And it continues to shine and magnify itself. Again, in John 1, it's a beautiful statement that John makes in verse 5, one of my very favorite texts. In John 1:5, Kai taphos ente skatia fine, and the light in the darkness keeps on shining. It's looking at an ongoing shining, because that's the present indicative active third person singular from phino. And the darkness, kai he skatia ta ukateleven, the darkness did not take it down. Kateleven is from katelambano. It has a double meaning, did not comprehend it, nor did it take it down. And I think John uses this double nuance here of meaning to say that the light was not able to be comprehended apart from a believing heart, and the darkness was not able to mug it or take it down. The light continues to shine by virtue of Christ having conquered sin and death and reigns as King of Kings and Lord of Lords in the glorious resurrection that followed Calvary. So what a beautiful application that John makes of this great text in Genesis.